William Carter sat alone in the dim light of his repair bay on Orvis 9. The space station was a metal giant, floating silently between two deadly planets, Ravex Prime and Telora. Both were classified as Deathworlds, home to brutal environments and even more brutal species. Orvis 9 was the only place where these two enemies met without drawing weapons. William liked the quiet here. A former pilot turned systems technician, he spent most of his time fixing broken panels, rerouting energy lines, and keeping the station's old machinery running. He didn't care for politics or war. He had seen enough of both. All he wanted now was peace and silence. But lately the station hadn't been quiet. For the past 3 days, strange glitches had appeared in the system. Power flickered in areas with no known faults. Doors opened and closed without command. Sensor logs rewrote themselves, then vanished. William had reported the problems, but station command brushed them off, too busy preparing for the peace summit between the Ravexians and the Telorans. Just ghosts in the wiring, one officer said with a shrug. But William didn't believe in ghosts. He tapped at his console, watching the main diagnostic scroll by. Lines of code and data scrolled across the screen. Everything looked fine, but he knew something was wrong. A knock echoed from the door. "Carter?" A deep, gravelly voice called. William turned to see Ambassador Thrix of Ravex Prime, a towering figure with scaled skin, 4 glowing eyes and a voice like grinding stone. "Ambassador," William said, standing. "I didn't expect a visit. You monitor the station's core systems, yes?" William nodded. "I do. Something bothering you?" Threx stepped inside, ducking beneath the low ceiling. "I feel a shift in the walls, a tremble under the floor. Ravex elders say this place was built over something old, something not meant to be found." William frowned. "You mean the alien tech under the station? That's just theory." "Not theory," Threx said. "A warning." With that he turned and walked out, his long coat dragging behind him. William stared at the door after it closed. A warning. He looked back at the console. Another flicker. A system blinked offline, then came back. William Carter had fixed machines for years. He knew when something was broken, and this wasn't just a glitch. Something was waking up inside Orvis 9, and whatever it was, it had perfect timing. The peace summit between two Deathworld species would begin in less than 24 hours. The next day, Orvis 9 buzzed with tension. Flags of both the Ravexian Empire and the Talaran Dominion hung side by side in the Grand Hall. Diplomats in heavy robes walked stiffly past each other without speaking. Armed guards from both species stood at corners, watching everyone. William Carter kept his head down. He didn't care for ceremonies. He was underneath the hall, checking backup power lines, pretending not to hear the speeches above. Every few minutes, he paused to look at his handheld scanner. The readings weren't normal. Energy pulses were spiking and fading in strange patterns, too precise to be random, but too irregular to be standard power flow. Then his comm unit crackled. "Attention all personnel. Unscheduled warp entry detected at Sector 7G. All external teams report to stations." William froze. A warp entry meant a ship had arrived, one that wasn't on the schedule. He climbed out of the service tunnel and hurried to the nearest viewport. Around him, station personnel did the same. Even guards stopped to stare. In the distance, beyond the safety of the station's shield field, a dark shape floated against the stars. It was a ship, but not like any ship William had ever seen. It was long and sharp, almost like a blade. Its hull shimmered black, absorbing light instead of reflecting it. No markings, no lights, no signals. Everyone stared. Then it moved. Without warning, the ship fired a single narrow beam of energy. A Talaran escort frigate exploded in silence. Fire bloomed in space. The shockwave pushed debris toward the station. Alarms screamed. People ran for shelter. "Shields up. Evacuate outer decks," someone shouted over the comms. William's heart pounded. He stumbled back as the emergency lights flashed. The dark ship didn't stop. It hovered in place, still silent. Then it turned. One Ravex cruiser moved into defensive position. The ship fired again. This time the Ravex ship managed to dodge, but its side was scraped. The blast left a deep scar across its hull. Both Talaran and Ravex crews scrambled their remaining ships. Inside the station, chaos spread. Guards drew weapons. Talarans blamed Ravexians. Ravexians shouted accusations back. This was your trick. You brought that weapon to strike first. Fists clenched. Guns were raised. William stepped back, watching it all happen, knowing what was about to come. Then the lights flickered again, just for a second. He looked at the overhead systems monitor. The power spike wasn't caused by the ship's blast. It came from inside Orvis 9. The same pattern from the day before. The ship was somehow connected to the station's systems, and no one had noticed, except him. As guards argued, and diplomats shouted, William backed away from the chaos, his mind racing. Something was very wrong. This wasn't just an attack. This was a setup. William Carter moved quickly through the lower levels of Orvis 9. While chaos spread in the upper decks, he went deeper, down to the maintenance zones, beneath the hangars and fuel bays. These areas were quiet, dark, and mostly forgotten. Even the station maps marked them as non-essential. But William had worked on Orvis 9 for years. He knew that non-essential often meant unfinished or too strange to fix. He followed the power trails from his scanner. The energy surges that matched the alien ship's attacks weren't coming from outside. They came from the station's hidden heart. He reached a sealed bulkhead, one that hadn't been opened in decades. A warning sign was still glowing faintly. UN stable systems. Entry restricted. William hacked the panel. It sparked but opened with a hiss. Inside was a narrow tunnel lit by dim blue lights. The walls were smoother than the rest of the station, like they were built by a different hand. Not human, not alien, something else. He stepped in. The deeper he went, the stronger the signal on his scanner became. Then he found it. A large chamber opened before him. At its center stood a tall spire of metal and glass. It pulsed slowly with blue light. Strange symbols glowed along its base. Thick cables, coated in dust, connected it to the rest of the station, silently feeding it power. This wasn't human technology. And it wasn't Talaran or Revexian either. This was ancient. Suddenly, a voice behind him spoke. You're not supposed to be here. William spun around, hand reaching for the small tool knife on his belt. A tall figure stepped into the chamber. She had dark red skin, bright silver eyes, and wore a Revexian science uniform. I'm not here to fight, she said calmly. I followed the energy trail too. William relaxed slightly. Who are you? Dr. Sarah Kin, Revexian research envoy. You? William Carter, systems technician, and very confused. Sarah walked past him, studying the spire. This was built long before our species reached the stars, she said. My people call it the sleeping core. Your people don't even have a name for it. I thought it was a myth, William said. It's real, and it's active. William pointed to his scanner. This thing is pulsing in sync with the ship that attacked us. Sarah nodded. That's what I feared. The ship isn't flying itself. It's being controlled. William stepped back. From here? Yes, she said. Orvis 9 was built around this device. Some believed it could power spaceflight beyond warp. Others thought it was a weapon, but no one could activate it. Until now, William's mind raced. That ship, the attack. Someone used this core to bring it here. Someone who knows how it works. Sarah looked at him. And whoever it is, they're still on board. Before William could respond, the lights above them flickered red. Then the spire pulsed brighter. Once, twice, 3 times, like a heartbeat waking up. The station shook, and above them the black ship turned again. The walls of the ancient chamber trembled as another power surge passed through the station. William Carter steadied himself against the console, while Dr. Sarakin stared at the pulsing spire. It's accelerating, she said. The connection to the ship is strengthening. William's scanner beeped again. The signal was spreading, now reaching the upper decks. Whoever was controlling the core wasn't hiding anymore. They were using the station itself like a remote weapon. We need to shut this down, William said. Agreed, Sarah replied, her voice tense. But we'll need higher access clearance. and someone who knows the station's original blueprints. William rubbed his forehead. I used to work on the early systems. I might be able to trace the control lines. They moved quickly through maintenance corridors. William led, Sarah close behind, both watching for patrols. The station was under lockdown now. Guards from both species roamed the halls. Everyone suspected sabotage. No one trusted the other. As they climbed toward the central systems core, they heard footsteps up ahead. William whispered. They ducked into a dark alcove as 3 Talaran soldiers passed, armed and tense. Behind them walked a taller figure in black armor. Commander Sereth Vorn. William recognized her from the news feeds. A war hero, a fierce leader, a woman feared by enemies and respected by her own. But now she was here, on the engineering level, far from the negotiation chambers. That's not right, William whispered. Sarah narrowed her eyes. She shouldn't be here. They followed the group at a distance, keeping to shadows and service hatches. Through a cracked doorway, they saw Vorn enter a secured control room. Her soldiers waited outside while she stepped inside alone. William pulled out a portable signal reader. She's accessing the core controls, he said. See this spike? Sarah leaned closer. That confirms it. She's using the station to control the ship. William felt cold. She wants to restart the war. Maybe even destroy Orvis 9. But why? Sarah asked. Before William could answer, his foot slipped on a loose panel. It made a loud clunk. Who's there? A guard shouted. William and Sarah ran. Blaster fire followed them. They ducked into a side corridor, sliding behind sealed doors just in time. They gasped for breath. We can't outrun the entire station, William said. Oh, Sarah agreed. But we can expose Vorn. They made their way to a forgotten data terminal. William plugged in his tools, bypassing old firewalls and buried codes. These are logs from the core. Look, override commands. Trace to Vorn's ID tag. Download them, Sarah said. We take this to command. As the files copied, alarms began to echo in the hall. Then the lights turned red again. William looked up. She knows we found her. Suddenly, the door behind them sealed shut. The air went still. Then the floor began to hum. It's a trap, William muttered. The chamber they were in began to fill with heat. She's going to fry us with the system coolant line, Sarah said. William grabbed a maintenance rod and jammed it into the emergency vent panel. With a loud snap, the door lock gave way. They burst out into the hallway and fled, just as steam exploded behind them. They didn't stop running until they reached a safe zone deep in the civilian sector. As they caught their breath, Sarah looked at William. She tried to kill us. She almost did, he replied, pulling the data chip from his pocket. But now we have proof. William Carter sat in the dim back room of a civilian cargo bay, the hum of station machinery vibrating softly under his feet. He stared at the small data chip in his hand, the only proof that Commander Sereth Vorn was behind the attacks. Dr. Sarah Kin paced nearby. Her claws tapped lightly on the metal floor. She'll strike again, she said. The Starship is still in position. Vorn will use it. If she gains full control, she could destroy Orvis 9 in minutes. William nodded. She doesn't want peace. She wants to wipe out the Revexians and take control of this station. Maybe even the space routes beyond. Sarah stopped. We need to show this proof to Station Command. William hesitated. Command is fractured. Half of them answer to the Tolerance. Some are scared of Vorn. Others may already be loyal to her. Then who do we trust? William thought for a moment. There's one person, Captain Reza of the Revexian fleet. He's tough, but he's honorable. If we get this to him, he might listen. They disguised themselves in worker uniforms and moved through the lower decks. William knew the routes without security scans. The ship still hovered outside, but now it had drawn closer to Orvis 9. Its weapons were charged again. Sirens echoed across the station. All personnel, prepare for emergency lockdown. Unknown energy surge detected in the central power grid. She's starting it, Sarah said. We're running out of time. They reached Dock Bay 3, where Captain Reza's ship Claw of Steel was moored. 2 Revexian guards blocked the entrance. Sarah stepped forward. "Tell your captain it's urgent. We have evidence of sabotage." The guards raised their weapons. "No one is allowed aboard. Orders from the Taller in command." William stepped forward. "Tell Reza it's about Commander Vorn. She's using the core. She's the one controlling the starship." The guards paused. One of them tapped his comm. Moments later, the heavy door opened. Captain Reza stood tall in full armor. His 4 eyes focused on William. "Speak," he said. William handed him the chip. "This shows Vorn's ID was used to send override commands from the core. She's manipulating the station's ancient systems to control that ship." Reza inserted the chip into his arm interface. He scanned the data in silence. Then he looked up. "You are either very brave or very foolish. She tried to kill us," Sarah said. "We wouldn't be here if we weren't sure." Reza nodded slowly. "Then we must act. If she controls the core, she controls Orvis 9. If we don't stop her now, she will destroy this station." He turned to his guards. "Assemble a neutral strike team. I want Talaran and Revexian soldiers. Ones who still value peace." William stepped back. "We'll go with them. I know the path to the core." Reza stared at him. "You are not a soldier." "No," William said. "But I know the system. And she doesn't expect me." Within minutes, a mixed squad formed. 3 Talaran soldiers, 2 Revexians, Sarah and William. The station trembled again. The lights dimmed. A voice echoed through the comms. "Commander Vorn. This is Sareth Vorn. Stand down. The future of this region belongs to strength, not weakness. The station will be cleansed. Do not interfere." William looked at Sarah. "She's activating the ship's main weapon." Sarah's eyes narrowed. "Then this is our last chance." They loaded weapons, checked gear, and stepped into the elevator that would take them to the ancient core. The door closed behind them. Down below, the final battle waited. The elevator hummed as it descended deep into the station's underbelly. William Carter stood between Dr. Sarakin and a Revexian soldier named Gorak. The rest of the mixed team stayed silent, focused. They all knew the risk. If they failed, Orvis 9, and everyone on it, would be destroyed. Above them, alarms screamed. The black starship outside charged its main weapon, aimed directly at the station's central support ring. William checked his datapad. "We have minutes, maybe less." The elevator stopped. The doors opened to a cold hallway, lined with strange lights glowing dim blue. The air felt heavy, like the walls were alive. The ancient tech pulsed in rhythm, each beat faster than before. "This way," William said, leading the team forward. As they neared the core chamber, steel doors slammed shut ahead of them. "Automatic lockdown," Sarah said. "She's trying to trap us." Gorak stepped forward and blasted the control panel. Sparks flew. William rewired the door's backup power manually. The doors opened. Inside, the spire pulsed with blinding energy. The glow lit up the room like lightning. In front of it stood Commander Sareth Vorn, tall, calm, her armor reflecting the light of the alien machine. She turned as they entered. "I warned you," she said, her voice steady. "You're going to kill everyone." William shouted. Vorn raised a hand. "No, I'm going to save my people. We were never meant to share this galaxy. Peace is an illusion. Only control brings order." She tapped her wrist console. The core screamed. A high-pitched hum that shook the walls. Behind her, holograms of the starship flickered. Its weapon was locked on target. "She's directing it now," Sarah said. "From here." Gorak raised his rifle. "Step away from the console." But Vorn moved fast. She activated the room's defense drones. Spheres rose from the floor, glowing red. They opened fire. The room exploded into chaos. Talaran and Revexian soldiers returned fire. Sparks flew. William ducked behind a console, crawling toward the core's main control node. Sarah followed him, using her claws to pry open a panel. "We need to disable the uplink," she said. If we cut the command feed, the ship won't fire. I'll draw power from the secondary relay, William said, plugging in his tools. One drone spotted them and fired. A Talaran soldier dove in front of William, taking the hit. He collapsed, but the shot missed its target. William gritted his teeth and focused. Power lines surged. Systems blinked. Then he saw it, a feedback loop forming inside the core. I can send a surge back through the command line, he said. It'll shut down the uplink. You might fry the whole core, Sarah warned. If I don't, that ship will destroy the station in less than 2 minutes. William looked up. Across the room, Vorn was locked in hand-to-hand combat with Gorak. She fought like a trained warrior, precise and brutal, but she was losing ground. William reached for the final command key. Now, Sarah shouted. He activated the surge. The core flared. A white-hot flash lit up the chamber. Every drone dropped. The starship's image on the screen froze. Its weapon glow faded. In space, the ship powered down. For a moment, everything was still. Then came a low sound, a signal pulse. The ship's hull lit up, not red, not blue, but a pale green glow. A voice echoed through the chamber, not from Vorn, not from anyone present. Remote connection severed. Fail-safe activated. Autonomous protocol online. William's face went pale. It's switching to self-control. Sarah stared at the screen. It's going to self-destruct. The team ran for cover as the core room shook. Above them, in orbit, the black ship cracked apart in a blast of white energy. The shockwave reached Orvis 9 seconds later. Emergency shields held, just barely. Debris rained across the outer hull. Inside the core room, everything went dark. The spire stopped pulsing. The hum faded. William sat on the floor, breathing hard. Vorn was unconscious, pinned beneath a collapsed beam. Gorak stood over her. It's over, he said. Sarah nodded. For now. William looked up at the silent core. That ship wasn't just built. It was waiting. And it said, fail-safe. Sarah shivered. It was only the beginning. Orvis 9 floated in silence. The station's hull was scorched. Parts of its outer ring were dark. Emergency crews moved through damaged sectors, repairing life support, sealing cracks, and restoring power. Smoke lingered in the air. Lights flickered on and off, but the structure held. The black ship was gone. Destroyed in the explosion. The core had shut down completely after the feedback surge. For now, the station was safe. William Carter sat on a bench outside the infirmary, his clothes torn and his hands bandaged. Across from him, Dr. Sarah Ken stood quietly, staring at the stars through the thick window. They've begun the talks again, she said, without turning. William nodded. After all that, they're still willing to sit at the same table. Yes, she said. Maybe because now they understand what real danger looks like. Inside the infirmary, Commander Sarah Thorne was under guard. She survived the collapse, but she was done. The data William and Sarah recovered was enough to expose her entire plan, the override codes, the control attempts, the threat she posed. She would face trial under Talaran law. Outside, a pair of Talaran soldiers passed a Revexian patrol without a single word exchanged. Not friendly, but not hostile either. Progress. Captain Reza had returned to his ship, but not before offering William an official position as systems advisor for the new defense committee, a group made of Talarans, Revexians and humans. William had politely refused. He didn't want a title. He didn't want meetings or committees. He just wanted quiet. Are you staying? Sarah asked. William shook his head. No, I've done what I can here. Someone else can watch the core. She looked at him. You saved the station. He gave a tired smile. We saved the station. A silence passed between them, not awkward. Just calm. What now? She asked. I have a shuttle, William said. Old, slow, but it works. Thought I'd fix it up and see where it takes me. Sarah smiled faintly. If you find another core out there, send a warning this time. I will. They shook hands. Her grip was firm, respectful. She turned and walked away. William stood there for a moment longer, then walked through the corridors one last time, past the hangars, past the engineering bay, past the grand hall, where the flags of the Revexians and Talorans now hung side by side, torn but still flying. At the docking bay, he stepped into his small ship. The lights came on with a hum. He slid into the pilot seat and looked out at the stars. Before powering up, he whispered to himself, "If that was just the first, we better be ready." His ship lifted off, quiet and steady, disappearing into the dark. Behind him, Orvos 9 kept spinning, damaged but still alive.